Hello, I'm Maria Alcázar, and I want to share the findings of my research into Eileen Gray and the iconic E1027 table. First of all, I'll look into the table itself. Eileen created this table that is multifunctional, and the height can be adjusted. It's made of a tubular steel frame and a clear glass top. It was designed in 1927 as part of the villa she built in Roquebrune, Cap Martin, with the same name. And it's really innovative in the sense that it can be used in different places in the house and for different purposes, and in particular the fact that it's adjustable, it makes it really multifunctional and iconic. When I was going through my research, I learned a lot about Eileen Gray and what brought her into designing this table and all her work, but also it raised a number of questions. So in my presentation, I wanted to address some of these questions and hopefully bring some clarity into her life and, her mindset. So one of the things that fascinated me the most when I started reading about Eileen Gray was that she went from, she learned the traditional Japanese art of lacquer. She became really proficient at it and spent over 25 years dedicated as making beautiful lacquer furniture, highly specialized skills. And then this became also a big influence for Art Deco, for the Art Deco movement. And then around the mid-20s, she went in the completely opposite direction. She then, started creating furniture that was really simple and basically that they were prototypes for mass production, which, made her a pioneer of what later would become known as the modernist movement. I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to maybe look into how this massive change happened. So I didn't find any of the articles that I read or any of my resources really tackled this topic, not even Walker, who actually interviewed Eileen. If I had interviewed Eileen, I would have definitely asked her about how she may, what brought her into going into this drastic new direction. But yeah, so I didn't find a straight answer, but I did find some clues. So in 1910, she attended an exhibition in Paris from a group of architects from Berlin, and they were presenting already some very well-made furniture, but very simple, using wood. So I think this kind of, impacted Eileen in the sense of using simple materials for simple purpose. Then, of course, between 1914 and 18, there was the First World War. And of course, these traumatic events changed the life of people. And I can imagine also changed Eileen's views into the role of her own designs and her own principles. So for instance, in particular around the way people live changed. The people lived in smaller spaces after the war. There was less formal living, which meant less ornamentation, more desire for simplicity, more mechanization started happening in the household, etc. So I can imagine this was a big event in terms of questioning the way Eileen had designed until then. Later on then in 1925, she was asked to basically design a dual-purpose bedroom boudoir room for the 14th Salon des Artistes Decorateurs. And she made some design choices already that were less, you know, well, that were more, let's say, austere. And this got the attention of the avant-garde Dutch group Stiegel. And also she was highly acclaimed by these designs in the architectural and interior design magazines. Also then, with her relationship with the architect Badovici, she then was exposed to architecture and got to travel and see firsthand some of the new innovations around architecture, and in particular what would become later on the international style. So I think this was a big eye-opener for her in terms of, you know, the harmony between the building and the furniture. The other question I suppose that I had is what really influenced the design of the E1027 table. So with Badovici, he founded this Architecture Vivante magazine, and to publish this magazine, he traveled with Eileen to Holland and Germany to see the latest innovations from people like Miles van der Rohe, Gropius, etc. So of course that would have influenced Eileen in terms of the design of the E1027. She also admired, there was a mutual admiration between the architects of Stiegel, and basically she loved not only their austerity, their aesthetic austerity, but also their philosophy around, you know, mass production and improving the life of the regular man and woman. Then around 1925, of course, the Bauhaus school art started experimenting with new ways of creating furniture. And what the masters of the Bauhaus wanted is they wanted to improve the living conditions of the lower income people. In particular, you know, they wanted to make sure that they could afford to buy good furniture. And then it became important that the furniture that they produced was inexpensive. It could be mass produced, so it could be available to everyone. So this was really, again, a big influence in Eileen's work. And around this period, what she wanted to do is she really wanted to create a harmony between architecture and interiors. She wanted to create interiors that were tailored to the need of the people who live there, rather than just a pretty space. And this is really reflected in the design of the E1027, because it's a table that can really be adjusted at the needs, and it can be used in, you know, different places around the house or different purposes. And here you can see the Vasily chair, which was created in 1925 by Marcel Breuer, which was the first iconic furniture piece that used the tubular steel frame as well. Okay, so the next thing that I looked into is what problem was Eileen trying to solve that she needed to create this table. So the table was created for the villa called the same, E1027. And here Eileen was looking for furniture that was lightweight, portable, and highly interactive. So this was really important for her and part of her principles. And this became known as Le Style Camping. So basically, nearly like camping furniture that could be just transported anywhere and used in a real multifunctional way. Yeah, so this was really the main, let's say, trigger for designing this table and the rest of the furniture. As you can see here as well, one of the things that she did innovate one of the innovations as well of the villa is that she had in the bathrooms these mirrors that had arms that could be extended. So again, really groundbreaking design at that time. Yeah, so when I did my research, I found two main reasons why Eileen designed this table as well, which is interesting. So some sources, they say that she was looking to have a table that could go over your knees. So when you're sitting down at a table or on the sofa, that you can put it over your knees, maybe just to have your coffee or read, etc. And other sources say that she wanted to create a table for her sister Tora, who liked having breakfast in bed. So yeah, it's interesting that there are two different explanations for why this iconic design and this multifunctional table was created. So what really, I suppose for me is fundamental is that the fact that this table was adjustable in height was really innovative. I didn't find any of the other fantastic furniture designs that have become icons as well of the period, like the Vasily chair, Barcelona chair, or others. None of these furniture items are so innovative as the table that can be extended. For me, this is really a stroke of genius. The other question that I explore as well is, why did Eileen use the tubular steel? So I suppose she created in 1927, and 2 years earlier, Marcel Breuer had created the Vasily chair, and he used tubular steel for a number of reasons, but at the time, a German steel manufacturer had just perfected the way to produce steel tubing without any seams. So that made possible to bend the steel and make it into a frame. So with that, let's say technology in place, then Marcel Breuer used this material in a new innovative way to create the Vasily chair. As I said, 2 years before, Eileen created the tables. So I think that was a big inspiration. And after Marcel created this table, he himself created the Cheska chair, and there were other chairs also created by the designers of the period using tubular steel. So all those designers chose tubular steel because of its lightness, low cost, and it could be mass produced. So that was also an important aspect for Eileen, and actually most of her furniture from the 1920s uses tubular steel. So it just shows how important this material became for the furniture design within the modernist movement. And also in the case of this table, it actually the steel, the tubular steel actually allowed for the table to become extendable. And of course, if the table would have been made of wood or any other more traditional materials, that extension would not have been possible. Okay, so during my research, I also visited the National Museum of Ireland, Decorative Arts and History Museum, where they have a permanent exhibition on Eileen Gray, which was very interesting, and I have some of that information here. And in terms of secondary resources, I have also summarized the article by Walker. As I mentioned, she actually interviewed Eileen Gray in her flat in Paris. So I found this article really, really interesting. Also, I studied the Friends of E1027 villa website, and also another really interesting case study about the villa and Eileen Gray by Cooper, Ludovics, Slaney, and Sang, and many other resources as well, but these would have been the main ones. Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much.